I want to tell you a story about a time when I did not live up to my veterinary oath, a time when my naivety caused harm and my actions directly supported animal suffering. I was in Cabo, Mexico a few years ago for a destination wedding.
The resort where we were staying offered a swim with dolphins experience at a discounted price, and I was so excited to have a bucket list dream of mine finally come true. I pictured a magical encounter in the ocean, surrounded by these beautiful creatures in their natural habitat. But when we arrived, we were led to a small pool containing 4 dolphins, each covered in scars from fighting one another in this confined space. The dolphins were paraded around like circus animals, doing tricks and posing for photographs, and they clearly weren't well cared for. It was heartbreaking. And that's when it hit me. I had paid into a system that exploits these incredible animals for profit. I was part of the problem. How do we, as people who care deeply about animals and the environment, avoid these traps? What are the signs to look out for? And is there another way to travel and appreciate wildlife, a way that doesn't cause harm? What if I told you that there is a way to travel the world, participate in some amazing, life-changing experiences, and help save the planet at the same time? Hi, I'm Dr. Teresa Schumacher, and this is VETTED, where you'll find educational resources, inspirational stories, and science-backed information to help you navigate a healthier future for you, your pets, and the planet. In this episode, we'll explore not only the damaging effects of traditional animal tourism, but also the positive impact of ecotourism when done the right way. There are solutions, real impactful ways to experience the beauty of nature while contributing to its preservation. And we'll be uncovering those today when we speak with Geena Truman, a seasoned traveler and renowned travel writer whose work has been featured in National Geographic, BBC, and Lonely Planet. Geena has journeyed all over the world with her husband Evan and is known for her ethical method of travel and her support for local communities and wildlife conservation efforts. Geena doesn't just leave footprints when she travels. She leaves a little bit of positivity wherever she goes, and she encourages other travelers to do the same. Geena, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here, specifically to talk about ecotourism. One thing I really admire about you is you're not just a tourist. Well, you're very ethical, you really dive into cultures, and you dig a little deeper. Were you always that type of traveler?
Definitely not.
Geena has admitted that she wasn't always the educated, responsible traveler that she is today. Early in her career, she, like many of us, was drawn into experiences that marketed themselves as eco-friendly, only to later discover the truth behind those glossy brochures.
I was so excited to see elephants, and this guy was like, oh, I can take you to an elephant sanctuary. It's just outside of Bangkok. And it was a taxi driver who was telling me all this. I should have been a little bit more skeptical in the first place, but I was a new traveler and just wasn't, I was like, yeah, I'd love to see elephants. I didn't realize they were this close to the city. And he took me to like the saddest place I have ever been in my life. It was like elephants just walking around in these like concrete circles. And they're like, yeah, you can ride them. I thought because we were in a country where elephants are found, that I was going to be taken to a natural habitat. And at this point, I'd already paid them. They already had the money. It was just like, there's no taking back that. But then I learned, and from there, I now know the things you should look for and like how to educate yourself and just be a little bit more skeptical when people offer up these animal experiences.
Geena's journey as a traveler took a pivotal turn during her time in Cuba.
There are 2 ways to see Cuba: contributing to the communities, or it's contributing to the government through their like government sanctioned hotels and tours. And so we were traveling on a budget, and Americans, and on an American passport at that time, it wasn't possible to travel to Cuba through the like official government means. We ended up staying in a lot of Cubans' homes and like interacting a lot with the local community, and I saw the positive impact that that had and like how tourism dollars can make a difference in people's lives. And that kind of made me think about tourism as a whole in a different way, the way that you can affect positive change with your money.
This realization transformed her approach to travel, shifting from simply being a visitor to becoming an active participant in fueling positive change. It's a powerful reminder that we as travelers have the ability to create change through the choices we make. Can you just explain the term ecotourism?
I think that ecotourism is any kind of tourism that directly benefits the preservation of animals, like a certain species, or a natural environment in some way. So it's a big tool for conservation, because to conserve these natural landscapes and the animals in them, we will need money and resources to do so. And it gives travelers something back.
One such example comes from Gina's visit to a genuine elephant sanctuary.
DERA AMER is in Jaipur, India, and it is an Asian elephant sanctuary. They have taken elephants that were working elephants from the AMER temple in Jaipur. India still allows elephant riding at the temples. It's a very popular thing, and so these elephants are just going up and down the temple like stone staircase all day long with tourists on them. They have to buy them from these people is where they're at currently, which is unfortunate, but it gives them a place to retire and have a nice life, and they've bought all this land outside of Jaipur to rewild, which is just like beautiful Indian desert, and they work with the communities to like grow food for the elephants, and it lets you like do a glamping experience out there and like a luxury dinner and drinks in this beautiful landscape with just like elephants roaming around, which is super cool.
The truth is, ecotourism has the potential to be a powerful force for good. When we choose responsible operators, support local communities, and ensure that our experiences align with conservation efforts, we're not just travelers, we're part of the solution. A similar positive shift is happening with the whale shark excursions in the Maldives.
We've done like budget travel in the Maldives, and we've also stayed at a couple nicer resorts in the Maldives. They have like protected marine parks where they know that the whale sharks are feeding year round. It's one of the only places in the world that they do that. They have limited number of boats going in and out of them so that it keeps too much over-tourism from happening. And they have marine biologists that go out with you on the boats. So it's nice, you get a little information about the whale sharks, you can swim with them, but you're like, obviously no touching, no interact, you just watch them. And I felt like that was done really well, and you can do that from staying at a luxury resort, which is like the most luxurious. I mean, you do have to get in the water, so there is some involvement.
Instead of feeding the whale sharks to draw them closer, ethical operators now focus on creating natural interactions. By maintaining a respectful distance and following strict guidelines, they're able to provide a meaningful encounter that doesn't harm the whale sharks or their environment. As we explore the impact of ecotourism, it's important to ask, how can it truly drive positive change for both the planet and its wildlife? Habitat destruction, deforestation, and animal loss are real and pressing issues around the world and have a devastating effect on the very places we yearn to visit.
One of the first times I went to the rainforest was in Sumatra, Indonesia, and it was the first time I saw a palm oil plantation just outside of the protected areas. It's just like as far as you can see palm oil. And when you see that kind of like destruction that happens, it makes you want to be more careful with your choices. And you see like, oh, this is what happens when people don't make an effort to protect the natural landscapes.
A shining example of how ecotourism can be a powerful force for good is found in the work being done by an organization called Orangutan Trekking Tours.
The owner of it is a local Indonesian man who is a photographer, and he buys up plots of this rainforest to kind of rewild, basically because he wants to ensure that no matter what happens with the Indonesian government and like things going on there, that he wants to protect this habitat, make sure it can't be sold to palm oil plantations. Great. You take like a 3-day riverboat cruise to get into the jungle. There is a research center that was set up by Dr. Bayrute Galdikas, who is like a premier orangutan researcher. She essentially had the longest running study of orangutans ever. She lived in the jungle with them for 30 years, learning about their diet and their habitats. And so they got used to seeing her in the jungle. And then they set up these feeding platforms that are there for people to come visit because of all the deforestation that was happening. There isn't enough land and food and resources to sustain even the population of orangutans that are existing right now.
Which isn't a lot.
Which isn't a lot. They're endangered, and we're trying to like increase the numbers. But even with the numbers they have now, there's not enough food for humans to not be involved at all. So because of this, they have to have the feeding platforms for orangutans that are like elderly or sick or just aren't able to find enough food in whatever patch of rainforest that they have left.
This kind of ecotourism is growing, and it shows us the potential for travel to be more than just an escape. It can be a tool for real positive change, helping local communities, protecting endangered species, and healing ecosystems. As travelers, it's becoming more and more difficult to distinguish between what's truly ethical and what's just marketing. One of the biggest challenges we face today when it comes to ecotourism is something called greenwashing. Let's talk a little bit about greenwashing and what that term means in relation to travel.
Greenwashing is those tricky companies that know that we want things to be ethical, that we're looking for ethical organizations and experiences with animals, and so they try and make something that isn't ethical sound like it's a good idea for you and the animals. And it happens often.
This is why it's so important to dig deeper into those experiences we choose and understand the real impact that we're having on the planet and its ecosystems. For travelers who are interested in ecotourism and want to avoid greenwashing and travel responsibly, do you have advice for them?
Yeah, so I kind of work with 3 go-to rules to avoid bad animal encounter experiences. So the first one is looking for how much contact you're physically going to have with the animals. We all love the idea of getting to hang out with elephants, but if you're interacting with animals in any kind of hands-on way, you should be very skeptical. Make sure you do your research to see that it is good for the animal and it's an okay encounter, because most of the time, if you're getting to physically touch an animal, it's not going to be a great experience. The second thing is involving the local communities. I think that that's really important for making like a lasting impact and for supporting people getting jobs in the animal tourism sector that are beneficial to the animals. It's going to be beneficial for the people who live there and for making this a long-term solution. If the local people are happy that people are coming to visit these animals, it's going to give them a reason to protect the animals and the natural environment. The third thing is, are they in their natural environments? If you're going to a national park and seeing animals, that's going to be the best possible experience, is not taking them out of the landscapes that they're in, the environment that they're familiar with. Some of our best travel experiences have been in national parks, like Corcovado National Park in Costa Rica is really well managed. You can go there and see pumas, you can see tapirs and all kinds of different monkeys. It's some of the most biodiverse landscape on Earth. And the only way to see it is to go stay overnight at one of the ranger stations, and it's super highly regulated. You have to be with a guide the whole time, which, because of how many fer-de-lance vipers are around, it's important too, just for your own safety. Another really good national park experience was GEENA National Park in India, where they had the last population of Asiatic lions. And so it's one of the things they've gotten the local community members involved and done a really good job of like regulating tourism there. They only allow like, I think it's between 30 or 50 jeeps per day to enter the park. So it's super regulated and a great way to see animals in their natural environments.
Who can you trust as you plan your own travel and adventure? Good resources are travelers like Geena, who have firsthand experiences with these tours, as well as local grassroots organizations that are genuinely committed to conservation. These voices offer authentic insights that can guide you toward ethical choices in your travels. By following these steps and relying on trusted sources, we can avoid greenwashing and ensure that our travel experiences are truly supporting the planet, its wildlife, and local communities. If you're looking for more inspiration and tips on ethical travel, you can find Geena Truman on her website at beyondthebucketlist.co or follow her on Instagram at beyond_the_bucketlist. She's always sharing incredible insights and firsthand experiences that will guide you toward more responsible and impactful travel choices. The links are in the bio, so be sure to check them out. Next time, we'll be shifting gears a bit to talk about something that's on every pet owner's mind: why the cost of veterinary care has skyrocketed recently, and what steps you can take to continue affording the care your pets need. It's a critical topic that affects so many of us, so you won't want to miss it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Aluna One Health YouTube channel for more content related to your health, your pet's health, and the health of the planet we call home. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.